Back to AEW. A rematch was up next between Kyle O'Reilly and Dick the Boozer. Again. You know, this would have been a great thing to do with O'Reilly when he first came in about 3 years ago, wouldn't it?
This is the best thing they've done with Kyle O'Reilly in a long time. I watched the match thinking they have to do something because it stands out that Moxley couldn't beat him, that Moxley had to hit the referee. It wasn't just Moxley cheating, it was Moxley not being able to get away from Kyle O'Reilly. This has been the best thing he's done in AEW by far, even though the matches may not necessarily be the best at times.
Obviously you can only get what you can only get with Moxley, right? But the point is, yes, somebody came up with the idea for a little TV program. Imagine that, where Kyle O'Reilly faces Moxley, and Moxley, as you said, has to punch the referee to get disqualified because he can't get away from the ankle lock, even though, as somebody mentioned, as Moxley was staggering to his feet to punch the referee, he grabbed the top rope to steady himself. So he technically could have got a break, but he wasn't that quick. He doesn't think that quick. But nevertheless, they bring it back, and this time they go about 10 minutes. Wasn't burdensome. And O'Reilly gets the front face lock on him, on the guillotine, as they call it, on the floor, and had him scissored around his waist with his legs. And Moxley couldn't get away, and Aubrey Ed counted them both out. So again, Moxley, this is, if you'd brought Kyle O'Reilly in, you give him a win on television, maybe 2 wins on television over 3 or 4 weeks, and have him say something to people so they know what his voice sounds like. And then you put him in a little program with a guy that you featured in the main event so the fans know where to take him as a main event guy also. And that's where you do this. Now it's better than things they could be doing, but it's an example of O'Reilly has the talent to do this, but they have wasted it over the last 3 years with the goofiness and him being a part of the goofy group with the goofy angle and the whole thing with Cole and the Devils, MJF, and all the other stuff. You get the people used to, okay, it's Kyle O'Reilly, him and Roddy, the rest of those guys, they're nothing happening. And then you do this. And then he's like, it has to, just because you can put together all of the puzzle pieces for a certain part of the puzzle doesn't mean that the whole picture is a masterpiece. And nevertheless, and then Marina Schaefer knocked Aubrey Ed out, so Claudio came in and leveled Kyle, and then Roderick Strong came in, and then Wheeler came in, and Garcia came in, and Darby came in, and Briscoe came in, and it was same as always. And then the heels bail out and wait for the baby faces to berate them on the microphone, and Darby got the mic good, and it was short and sweet. And he made a little point, and then Briscoe took the microphone and beat around the bush a bit. And then he was trying, or supposed to, set up for Pockets, of all people, to make the challenge for Blood and Guts at the pay-per-view. He gives the microphone to Pockets, and he said, well, Blood and Guts. He ruined the pay-per-view main event challenge. Why would they let this dipshit speak? It just shit all over the whole thing. However, let's remember the whole thing is now they've got a Blood and Guts match on pay-per-view with the Boar Horsemen against Mark Briscoe, Darby Allin, Roderick Strong, and Kyle O'Reilly, apparently, right? Pockets. So now they're doing underneath preliminary Blood and Guts matches.
I think Tony sees the Death Riders and Orange Cassidy as not being underneath preliminary guys. I think you could definitely argue in terms of who's a star in AEW, Moxley, Darby, Briscoe. Again, you want to talk about people, if they had only done this in the beginning when they came in, but they're setting up Blood and Guts. The interesting thing is, when is Blood and Guts?
I think that November 22nd is the date of their pay-per-view, if I believe.
And so that's November.
Memory serves.
And then November 29th is WWE Survivor Series War Games. So what do you think that says?
It says that we're going to see a bunch of the same old shit. And yes, I agree. The way he's been used, Moxley is the worst wrestler in the world, but the way he's been used, he's a main event guy.
Right.
And Darby is a main event guy. Briscoe was on that precipice where he could or couldn't. The people still like him. But you got Wheeler Useless. You got Garcia. You've got Roddy, bless him. Again, great worker, presented like a dipshit. Claudio. What the and the mascot. So then they went to a commercial break.
So,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so we're about to get 3 War Games matches in a week because it's going to be men's and women's at the WWE Survivor Series.
Well, no.
And if they only
There's going to be 4. There's going to be 4.
They're doing a women's one too? Okay, great.
I was going to mention that they're doing, yes, this company, as bad as it is when the WWE does a men's and women's War Games and takes all the fucking steam out of the real men's War Games, that is the real one, at least they've got some women that are not going to fall on their face and embarrass themselves. I understand they're going to do a women's blood and guts match. So in the space of 7 days, we're going to see.
Actually, I'm wrong about 7 days because the AEW one is on the 12th in Greensboro.
November 12th?
November 12th in Greensboro.
I thought that was the 22nd.
No, it's not going to be a weekend. It's going to be, apparently it's going to be on Dynamite.
Oh, Jesus H. Christ. So it's not going to be on a pay-per-view. They're just going to do women's blood and guts on TV.
Yes.
What the fuck? The point is, it's the same old shit. Women's blood and guts, men's blood and guts, women's War Games, men's War Games. We're going to get to see the WWE version and the fucking great value generic version of all of these matches over a 2-week period. Oh, joy, oh, bliss.
It's like when the NWA came to Nassau Coliseum with the Bunkhouse Stampede and the WWF all of a sudden had the Bunkhouse Brawl at the Nassau Coliseum, won by Jim Duggan.
Well, at least he knew his way around a bunkhouse.